Okay, New Year's Eve is just a few days away, and if you are anything like me and my friends and family, we love to get together and have just a bunch of snacks and appetizers, snackatizers, that's what we call them. And I'm gonna show you today a couple different ones. One is super, super easy. We're basically taking pre-made ingredients, putting them together in a fun way. The other one does take a little bit more work, but it is delicious. So now to start off, the first thing you should do right now is preheat your oven. Now, my oven is preheating to 425, but it really depends on the ingredient you're using because we're gonna be using some frozen French fries. We're gonna be making pizza fries today. And I have this bag of frozen French fries. The directions call for 425, and it's gonna take probably about 20 minutes or so in my oven, maybe a little longer, maybe a little less. You just have to follow the directions on whatever you choose to buy. And this is a 28-ounce bag here. This you're gonna portion out between several plates and let people dress up their pizza fries the way they want. I'll be making one portion the way that I want it. Just gonna spread these out here, get them nice and even. And you can use any kind of fry you want. If you wanna go to town and really make your own French fries, go ahead, from scratch. But this first dish is about ease of making. Now these are gonna cook fully, and then once they're done, I'm gonna use those in my individual platter and dress that up with the pizza seasonings and everything that I want, the pizza toppings. So they're gonna go back in the oven for a little bit beyond that. So if they're slightly underdone, that's okay, but I like to cook them fully because I like them when they're a little extra well done. All right, our oven is at 425. Let's go ahead and get these in. I'll see you back here when these are done. All right, our fries are ready. We're gonna leave the oven at 425 because once we build our portion, and I'm gonna be using a small little cast iron dish today. You can use any oven-safe baking dish, baking tray that you want. In fact, you could just put these on, say, a smaller tray, dress it up, do it like a big plate of nachos, but they're pizza fries. So let's start building these pizza fries. So I have my little cast iron dish here, and I'm gonna fill this up. Maybe I'll end up using all of them. I'll share though, but they're gonna be done my way. That looks good. Let's go ahead and top this. Now I wanna reiterate this. This is about ease of making. You can do all of these things by scratch if you want, but we're using a jarred pizza sauce. We're using some canned sliced olives and a can of some sliced peppers. I even bought the Parmesan pre-shredded, but I did grate the mozzarella myself. We're gonna start with a little bit of the pizza sauce on here, just to get us going. Now for some grated mozzarella here. Hit a little grated Parmesan. We'll probably hit the top with some of this too. And at this point, I wanna sprinkle some pizza seasoning on here. This is just a pre-made pizza seasoning. Just give it a dusting. Now for some sliced olives. And you can customize this any way you want. Put whatever you want on here. You could even anger a large part of the population by putting pineapple on here for pineapple pizza fries. And some of our peppers here. You could use fresh if you wanted, but again, I was going for ease of use here, ease of making. A little bit more Parmesan here. And we can't forget Mr. Pepperoni. We're gonna fit some pepperoni in here. Don't need a ton of it because we got some other great things. But come on, it's pepperoni pizza. Probably should have put my pepperoni on before the other things, but live and learn. A little more parm. Dash more pizza seasoning. And you can put a lot more sauce on this if you want to, but I'm building this the way I like. I want that cheese really to shine in this and the toppings. Now this is gonna go in the oven, and really it's just until that cheese is melted and bubbling and everything looks good. It's really to looks because everything is already cooked now. We just wanna bring it to how we want it. Could be 4 minutes, could be 5 minutes, could be 10 minutes. Every oven's different, so let's get it in. See you back here when our pizza fries are ready. Well, here are our pizza fries fresh out of the oven. It took just over 10 minutes, about 11 minutes to get it to this, which is what I want. Now, if you wanted to, you want some color on top there, throw it up under the broiler, I don't know, 30, 45 seconds, whatever your oven works at. But this looks terrific to me. I'm gonna let it cool for like 2 or 3 minutes, and then I'm gonna dive in with a fork and have a taste. So these have, I guess, cooled down is the word, even though they're still really hot, especially in cast iron. But let's get in here and get a nice, oh, cheesy taste. Look at that. Get some pepperoni on there. This is just such a fun way to eat fries and pizza and mix things together. It's great for, as we call them, snackatizers. Here we go. When you're getting together with family and friends, especially at New Year's Eve parties and things like that, it's about enjoyment, it's about fun, and you can bring that fun to making the food. Things like this, absolutely delicious, absolutely fun to make, super easy. But now we move on to our second dish, which are gonna be some corn dog bites with a spicy honey mustard. So obviously the pizza fries were super duper easy, and I know I said this one has more to it, but it's also really easy. So this is easy, the other one is super duper easy. Let's get started. First, we're gonna make a dipping sauce, and we're starting with about a 1/4 cup of honey. Now this is totally adjustable here. This is gonna be sort of a spicy honey mustard dipping sauce. So you can play with the ratios you want, make more, make less. This is about as much as I need. To this, I'm gonna add a couple tablespoons of a spicy brown mustard and a couple tablespoons of gochujang. Gochujang is sort of a fermented Korean paste. It's really good, nice and spicy. And again, if you don't like a lot of spice, you can dial this back or just make a straight old honey mustard. Maybe add more mustard, so double the mustard amount. And really it is about those ratios. You like it more honey? You like it more mustard? Play with that. We're just gonna mix this together slowly with that thick honey. And if your honey is too thick when you take it out of the jar or you pour it out, just set a bowl that the honey's in another bowl with some hot water in it, and that'll help soften it up. Get a little taste. Ooh, nice spice, nice tang, nice sweetness, really good combination. So I'm gonna cover this, set it aside, and we're gonna move on to getting our hot dogs ready for the batter, which we'll be making right after that. And at about this time, you should be heating up a pot of oil. I'm using my enameled Dutch oven. I've got canola oil in there, and there's really no specific measurement. It's about how deep it is. I want maybe 2 inches of oil in the Dutch oven, and really your pan size is gonna dictate how much oil will reach to about 2 inches. But you don't need a lot more than that. I think 2 inches, you could probably even go down to 1.5 inches there, because we just need to get these hot dog bites submerged when we get them in there. And you should be heating that oil in your pot to 375 degrees. So for our hot dogs today, we got hot dogs. I've got some all beef uncured hot dogs here. You can use any kind you like. And what we're gonna do is very simple, because we wanna pre-cook these, which means we're gonna throw them in the microwave. You can cook them any way you want. All I need to do is get these cooked up to temp before we batter them. We don't wanna have the deep frying process have to cook these two, otherwise the batter could burn. What I wanna do is break these down into thirds. So our bites are gonna be about that big. You can make them smaller, you can make them larger. Roughly a third. I'm gonna pop these in the microwave for a minute or so, just until they're cooked, and we're gonna move on to making our batter. So our batter is pretty much a basic cornmeal batter that we're gonna use for these hot dog bites. And we're gonna start with 1 cup of yellow cornmeal. To this, we're gonna add 1 cup of all-purpose flour, 4 teaspoons of baking powder, 2 tablespoons of sugar, 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, 2 teaspoons of a coarsely ground black pepper. Now I wanna mix these dry ingredients together before we add our wet ingredients. Really wanna get that cornmeal distributed in here. See that pale yellow? We have 2 wet ingredients going in here. The first one is a cup of whole milk. Finally, 1 egg that's been beaten. Get in here with my whisk first. I'll probably switch to a spatula. And remember, this is gonna be a thick batter, but if it ends up being too thick, you can thin it out with a little bit of milk. You can do that maybe a teaspoon or so at a time. See how it's thickening up nicely right here. Switching to a silicone spatula so we can scrape the sides, get everybody mixed in. Now the hot dogs we're gonna be putting on skewers just to dip them and to get them into the oil. And one thing that makes it easier to sort of get them fully coated is to put this batter into sort of a tall thing. You can use a glass. I'm going to use a mason jar. See how unmessy I can be or messy I can be doing this. And again, if it looks too thick, you can always add some milk. I may need to once it's in here. I'll have to look at it. That's looking messy, but good. Let's go ahead and fry up our hot dog bites. Now, as I mentioned, the easy way to do this is using a wooden skewer and your cooked hot dog. Slide the skewer in, and we're gonna go into the batter here. Now, I did thin this out with about a tablespoon of milk because it just seemed a little thick. And then once this is covered with batter, it's gonna go into our oil, but I'm gonna use another skewer to push it off this stick. Come back and repeat. I'm gonna do 2 or 3 at a time. I don't like to crowd the pan. You can do as many as you want, but you put too many in, the temperature drops too fast, and you wanna keep it at that 375 range, definitely between 350 and 375. So we're gonna get our hot dog coated here. Let's let some of that excess batter drip off. See, we got pretty good coverage. Got a little bare spot here. We can just kind of paint over that. Now let's go into our oil. And it's gonna go until it's golden brown. Let's get another one ready to go in there. And if one of your hot dogs slips off in the batter, do not feel bad. That has happened to me plenty of times. You just gotta fish it out with the skewer. Just kind of gently move them around. Make sure they get good coverage. You can see we're starting to get some golden brown there. There's really no set time. It just takes as long as it takes. And when those come out, they're gonna go onto a wire rack that's resting inside a rimmed baking sheet to sort of drain and cool just a little bit. After these 3 are done, I'm gonna cook the rest, then we'll come back, plate them up, and have a taste. You wanna make sure that batter cooks all the way through, so you definitely want that golden color all the way around. So don't be afraid to kind of turn them a little bit. You can even kind of use your spoon, your slotted spoon, and hold them down if you need to. If you have a dedicated deep fryer, that'll work too. I don't have a dedicated deep fryer. I hardly have enough room for the stuff I have in my kitchen. See, we're starting to get some good color there, just like that. And do keep an eye on your temperature so that it doesn't get too far above 375. Just turn your burner down. Especially if you're using cast iron, that really retains heat. And if you're wondering, this is the exact same process to making corn dogs. You just use whole hot dogs. Might need a little more oil. I did a video on that. I'll put a link in the video description and up in the corner. These are starting to look really good. It's a little bit more time. All right, those are looking good. I'm gonna get those out, and then I'm gonna finish cooking up the rest off camera so we can come back and have a taste. All right, I plated up some of our little corn dog bites here, and we've got our spicy honey mustard dipping sauce. I know it doesn't look like there's a lot of mustard in there, and you can always add more mustard. In fact, with something like this, honestly, you could just go straight mustard, just have some nice spicy brown mustard out there to dip in, or leave them on their own. But let's go ahead and have a taste, first without any dipping sauce. The taste of corn dogs always takes me back to county fairs, carnivals, things like that, where you went and got these. You didn't really make them that much at home, at least in my family we didn't when I was young, but they're so easy to make, as you can see. Now let's try a little dipping sauce with these. Here we go. Sweetness, tang, and heat, all from that dipping sauce. Perfect with corn dogs. You could use it with other things. Actually, that'd go really good with like chicken tenders or dipping some chicken in it. It'd be great. But the corn dogs, again, they just stand by themselves. So those are 2 great appetizers, snackatizers, whatever you want to call them. One easy, one super duper easy. Both would be great for New Year's Eve, for any holiday, party, things like that. I hope you enjoy them, and Happy New Year. So good, I just gotta have another bite.